Hey everyone, I guess many of you recognize this gentleman here. Obviously, that's Elon Musk from Tesla. Here we have Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. This is Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, and Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft. So what the thing that is in common to all these gentlemen is that they're all successful innovators and successful entrepreneurs. But first and foremost, they're all engineers. In today's world, when technology is pervading every aspect of our life and work, there is more potential than ever before for engineers to create an impact in the world, because they already have the basic skill needed to do that, and that is they can create innovations, they can create products that make people's lives better, that create value for the world, for their organization, and for themselves. However, it has been our experience that a counterintuitive number of engineers convert to successful innovators and entrepreneurs. That is, the people who are most inclined, who have the best position to create innovations and new companies, don't seem to translate well into people who create new innovations, products, and companies, not as much as we'd like. So we believe that doing the work of evangelizing entrepreneurship or an entrepreneurial mindset to engineers is something that prevents destruction of value, or something that enhances the amount of value that an engineer can create for himself or herself or for the world. So my name is Vukašin Stojkov. I am a co-founder of Start, an organization I started 12 years ago with the object to promote technology and entrepreneurship in Serbia. Here we have the most popular tech media outlet, which is read by up to 100,000 people every month. We have a national network of tech community hubs in 7 cities across the country. But perhaps most important in the context of today's talk is that we've been doing work with entrepreneurs, helping to educate them and helping them to succeed with their companies and products they're building for the past 10 years. During that time, we've been working with more than 200 startups. And among many other recognitions, perhaps the most cherished one by us is the fact that we've been invited to become the first partner in Europe for Google when it came to their creation of a global network of startup accelerators, and we remain the exclusive partner for Serbia. So over that time, we have ascertained what we think to be some principles for engineers which can help them perhaps to maximize the value they can provide as creators and as professionals. If we take a look at one definition of engineering, and there are obviously many of those, if we look at the one that Google provides the first, we can see a bit of duality there. So number one is a branch of science that is concerned with designing, building machines and structures and systems, quite structured. And on the other hand, we have something that is more arty, something that's more craftful. So in theory, it would be ideal for these two, let's say, types of mindset to be combined for optimum effect. However, in our practice, we have usually been seeing the first type, the one that is more, let's say, formal, that is more structured, and hopefully we can show you today how, by avoiding some common pitfalls for engineers who engage in innovation or entrepreneurship, you can maximize the value you create, and how you can use some hacks in your innovation career to, well, maximize the value you can provide to yourself or to your organization. So when it comes to some pitfalls that or risks that we've seen in engineers who try to well, work on their entrepreneurial career. So first off, there's love and passion for coding, which is great. Obviously, it's great and it's desirable to love what you do. However, if in a sense the object of that passion is a machine for which you are creating, let's say, some piece of code or an app, if the intellectual satisfaction comes from the fact that you've made a machine do something, that might move your focus away from what well, is necessary for an entrepreneurial impact, and that would be, of course, people, which are the object, which are the reason why there's any engineering being done at all. If an engineer tries to focus on the people and impact on their lives, their potential for impact in total will be much bigger. Now, this might sound quite obvious. However, in our practice, we've seen too many times that a certain number of engineers tend to be very much in love with a particular technology, or being in love with the act of creating technology, as opposed to using their knowledge of technology to create impact for the end user. So this is something that we've seen so far as a possible pitfall, in a way, fetishizing technology. Another one is knowledge. So in order to be a good engineer, you have to have huge amounts of knowledge, obviously. However, when it comes to creating a new product or starting a startup, and as we can see on this list of the top reasons why new products or startups fail, there practically isn't almost any item which is connected to technology. And there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of business, there's some psychology, there's market analysis, strategy, and so on. This is knowledge that engineers oftentimes do not possess, even when they get interested into creating a new product or a business. And this is something that we feel is important to map out as a common pitfall. Sometimes we get a sense that because of the value of the knowledge that engineers have, they can perhaps get a sense that other skills and knowledge will be compensated by the fact that they possess technical knowledge, which is rarely the case. Another pitfall that we think we've observed, it might be a bit controversial, is something that could be called something close to arrogance. So sometimes you feel that engineers might have a very, very high opinion of themselves and their capabilities, which might be a bit inflated. And we hypothesize that this might be a consequence of the fact that, at least in Serbia, the job market is such that engineers are highly sought after. And perhaps sometimes we get a sense that some engineers feel like they're rock stars or movie stars because they're so sought after by everyone. When such sense of artificial confidence is brought into the process of creating a new product or a company, it is quite destructive because the market in which your product or company will be competing is very, very much Darwinian, and it is quite wise to have a, let's say, a humble and wise approach when you come into it. So going over to the entrepreneurial mindset, which we describe here based on our own observation and thinking, there's some overlap with some definitions of an engineering mindset as well. However, we'll go through these points one by one. So in our view, an entrepreneurial mindset is one where a person is constantly observing their surroundings to see what kind of problems they can solve and what kind of needs they can fulfill. This is probably something that many people have inherently, and it can probably be encouraged even in folks that do not. Obviously, it's very much well required to have boldness to believe that you can solve a problem, to have self-confidence and the drive to actually solve those problems. The third point is kind of self-explanatory, and it goes to say that there needs to be a lot of curiosity for skills and knowledge, which can not only help a person to create innovation, but also to scale it to the world. Because if you create something new and great and it just remains in your garage, the impact is obviously very limited. There we come to the last point, and this is something that we will be dedicating the rest of this talk to, because it is the most important one on this list, or at least it is the one which provides most problems to engineers that we've seen. It's the one that it seems makes many engineers and other entrepreneurs to lose a lot of time and a lot of money. So if we go back to this top list of reasons why startups and new products fail, we see that no market need is at the top of that list, which is something that we very much see in practice. And since we wanted to structure this talk as a mix of, let's say, abstract thoughts about a mindset and some particular tips on how you can practice entrepreneurship and innovation, we wanted to focus on this particular point and provide you with some very practical pointers on how you can make sure that a particular product you want to build or a company you want to start will be doing something that people will actually use and ideally pay for, because otherwise you will have wasted a lot of your time and a lot of your effort. So we'll be focusing on a couple of techniques to, well, make sure that you use your time and resources optimally. And you can be sure that these gentlemen definitely used these techniques in one way or another. So we have let's say two main methods of how you can determine whether a particular idea for a product or company is something that is worth investing, something that is worth building. And we will be showcasing ideas and methods which have been devised by some engineers. So first off, we are going to Rob. So Rob Fitzpatrick is an engineer. Rob is also an entrepreneur. Rob started three tech companies, and they all failed. This was a understandably hurtful experience to Rob, so it led him to create his most successful product in his career, and that is the book called Mom Test, which surmises his knowledge and principles that he came to that would have helped him to not fail with his three companies. I cannot recommend this book enough. I will show you quickly some key points. The first point is that the best information you can get about creating a product or a business that will perform in the market, to have some demand, is to talk to your customers. That much is fairly obvious. The point which is less obvious is the fact that if you talk to your potential customers as you would talk to a, let's say, normal person, there's a huge chance that you would get information which would be either false or unvaluable. So he designed this method of interviewing potential customers so that even your mom couldn't give you any false information. People tend to tell you things that they think you want to hear because they want to be nice to you, or they tend not to, turn on their brain because you're taking away their time. Using this method of asking questions to your potential customers, which are focused to very specific topics, which are always in the past, and by never talking about your idea for a product or a company and focusing on their life because you're actually making something for them, is the way that you can get valuable information on which you can actually go on and invest time into creating a product or a business. So some example questions include this one, where we are asking a hypothetical question which is in the future, which is a no-no by this method. Because we are asking for a person to tell us, what they will do, you cannot prove, they cannot know, really, they cannot guarantee that they will do that. If we ask a question that is set in the present tense, we are, in a way, asking for a person to give us an abstract answer. However, if you put a question in the past and it's very concrete, you are getting extremely valuable information on which you can base your product design or company building strategy. If we ask questions that are in the present tense, we're going to get suboptimal answers. However, if we go back to past tense, we'll be getting information. For instance, in this case, that will tell us how often does a problem occur, and hence how painful the problem is. And the more problem painful is, the bigger the chance for us to be able to distribute that solution to the market successfully. If we ask hypothetical questions, God knows what kind of information we'll get back. However, if we stick to asking questions in the past, and for instance, this particular question, if we ask how much money did a particular problem you're thinking about solving has cost the person, not only are you getting super valuable information about whether this problem is indeed painful and worth solving, you're also getting information about your pricing, which you can have. So all the credit for these goes to Rob, and again, I would recommend that you purchase his book. And going over to experiments, another way for you to validate a idea you think of developing, we go to another engineer, Eric, who also was an entrepreneur. Eric and his team invested a lot of time into creating a very innovative and a very complex tech solution for the early 2000s. It was like a VR space where people could do all kinds of stuff. However, once Eric and his team launched the product, they learned something they didn't expect. Not only did practically no one want to use their product, almost no one wanted even to download it to try it out. And this was not a pleasant experience after you pour more than a year of your life into building something. But it made Eric ask himself, could he have reversed the steps? Could he have perhaps first built the button to see whether people would actually be interested in trying out that software, and then go through various iterations toward building what people actually wanted to use. So based on the scientific method, which might be familiar to some of you, he created a lean startup methodology, which is outlined in the book by the same name. And the most important and practical tool that you could take away from this talk is the concept of the minimum viable product. This is a relatively familiar concept in the tech world. However, it's my humble opinion that it's one of the most the naming of it is kind of misleading to many people. Namely because of the product part, some people tend to think that it requires a prototype or an actual product to be part of an experiment. The way that I would propose to define minimum viable product is that it's a believable presentation of a new product that enables the entrepreneur to get the maximum amount of knowledge about customer needs with minimal investments. Perhaps the best way to understand how this can actually be deployed in practice would be some examples. And I'll be showing you first 2 examples of a video MVP. What follows is the first video which was made by the founder of Dropbox.
You've been there. You're about to buy lunch and realize your wallet is in your other pants. Or maybe you left your keys at home. The problem is organization. You need one place for everything, like a magic pocket. Putting something in the magic pocket means it's always there, no matter what you wear or where you are. The same thing is true for computers. If you have more than one, keeping track of all of your files can be a pain. Solving this problem is one of the big ideas behind Dropbox. It's like a magic pocket, a single, secure place for all of your stuff. Let's meet Josh, who is preparing for a big trip to Africa. Right now, all of his trip info is spread across his laptop, desktop, and phone. He needs to consolidate it all and is tired of having to email files to himself or move them around with a USB drive. Then he found Dropbox, which creates a new kind of folder on his computers. These folders work hard to be exactly alike, even across Macs and PCs. By adding his itinerary to his laptop Dropbox, he can be sure the same file will show up in his desktop Dropbox and even on his phone. The same thing happens when he saves a document in a Dropbox folder. The document gets updated across all of his Dropboxes. But it's not just his computers. The Dropbox website also works to be exactly like his other Dropboxes. Anything he puts in Dropbox is available on the website automatically. This way, if his Jeep takes a dive and his computer is ruined, he can still get to his files on the Dropbox website, where they're always backed up. As it turns out, Josh's Safari was a success, and his laptop made it home with lots of videos and photos to share. Instead of emailing everything, he just shared a Dropbox folder with his mom, so she could get copies of photos she wants to frame. Because it worked so well for travel, Josh made Dropbox the home for all of his stuff, so it's accessible anytime, wherever he goes. Whether you're traveling the world, running a business, or simply organizing your life, Dropbox means you can stop worrying about managing files and backups and get on with your next adventure. You can download Dropbox now at getdropbox.com.
Dropbox decided that before starting to build what is a very, very complex system, he wanted first to make sure that people actually wanted it. And after releasing this video, which was way back when, as you can see by the quality of the video itself, overnight he got 70,000 applications for the mailing list for information about the launch of the product, which was enough for him to say, okay, this is something that people want, it's worthy of my time to invest in it. Now we'll see another example of a video MVP.
I'm here to tell you about Coin. It solves a problem I think most of us have. See, my wallet is filled with cards. credit cards, debit cards, rewards cards, gift cards, filled with them. Too many. This is a coin. It's a simple card just like a regular payment card. You can swipe it just like any other card. The difference between a coin and any other card? All these cards are inside my coin, and I can pay for stuff with any of them. I'm going to use the personal card for this. My coin has all the same data and acts just like my debit card would when I swipe it. This is a business lunch, so I'm going to expense it on the business card. I just tap this button to select the right card, and that's it. How do I get my cards in my coin, you're asking? It's a fair question. I use this thing and the coin app to swipe them in. Take a picture so I know which one it is, and that's it. Oh, security. This is cool too. Let's say you pay with your coin, you've got a lot on your mind, you leave your coin behind, like a dummy. See that? The coin uses a low-power Bluetooth signal that knows when your phone is near and when it's not. In this card, all your cards. You can add as many as you want and it stays the same size. And all you ever need is one. One coin for all your cards.
This was the result after the release of this video, and after these guys got $50,000 of pre-orders in 40 minutes, that was a sure sign that there was market demand and that they could go towards building the product. Another type of MVP, which is quite more actually affordable than the videos, would be a landing page, a simple landing page. So there's this company called Buffer, and they provide a service for professional management of your social media accounts. Instead of building the software, the founder of this company first created a web page where he described the service and put a button called Plans and Pricing. And if enough people clicked through that and then left an email on the next page where he communicated that the service is not ready yet, but they're accepting emails to inform them about the launch, he could decide that the product is worth building. What's interesting is that after the first iteration, he even made a second one with another page in between where he could see which plans people are selecting, so he could know that people were actually willing to pay for it and not only use the free version. So there's a class of MVPs called Wizard of Oz, which essentially means that even though things seem like they're working seamlessly behind the doors, there's a lot of improvisation. And Amazon, for instance, which is now the juggernaut of the industry, started out with people from Bezos' team manually processing transactions, and whenever somebody ordered a book from them, it actually came from a distributor, not from Amazon itself. But it was enough for Bezos to conclude that there's a market for people who are ordering books online, and he decided to go full on with the investment. Another type, if I can call it like that, is something that I call doing things that don't scale. Sometimes you cannot fake it before you make it. Sometimes you really have to create a product to be able to demonstrate it and to see whether people want to use it. And this was the case with the first version of Google's search engine, which was built so that as the story goes, the first engineer who came in was disgusted with the quality of the code and rewrote the whole thing. However, before that, it was already proven that even though it didn't scale, it was a quality product that people wanted to use. So, in conclusion, there are different ways that people define value or wealth. Some people go for freedom, some people go for sense of purpose or impact, some go for cash. However, one thing that I would like to end on, which was the impetus for this talk, was that for engineers who are in the best position to create innovations, create impact, and create value for the world and themselves, it might be the best way to maximize the value of your career by trying out the applications of an entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurial techniques in order to innovate, and thus either be much more valuable and valued members of a particular company, because great employers value employees who can, create, not only execute requirements, but also perhaps start a thing of your own, and thus have fun and create good stuff. Hopefully, this was valuable to all of you, and depending on what the moderators say, I might be able to address some questions. In any case, you can reach me at Vukašin at started.rs, and I'll be happy to try and assist you with anything regarding this topic. Super. Thank you so much, guys, for the attention, and enjoy the rest of today's conference.